Okay, so section 3, we are factoring general trinomials. Now, a general trinomial is going to be a trinomial that has a number in front of that x squared. So it's going to be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is going to be an actual number other than 1. So a is going to be greater than 1, or it could be less than 1, or less than or equal to -1, we'll say. It's just not 1. You're going to notice it pretty quickly. There's going to be a number right there in front of that x squared. There's 2 methods to factoring these. I'm going to show you both of them. The first one is going to use factor diamond. Factor diamond is going to utilize factoring by grouping, which is what we did in section 1. Okay, so for factor diamond, you have this little diamond right here. In the top of the diamond, you're going to do a times c, which would be this first term by this last term, so 2 times 7. And that gives you a positive 14. Then in the bottom of the diamond, you're going to put your b value, which here is 15. And then you're going to go similar to what we did for factoring monic trinomials. You are going to fill in the 2 sides of the diamond with numbers that multiply to a times c, but add to b. So when we're sitting here and saying, okay, what multiplies to 14? You have 1 and 14, or 2 and 7. So which of these would add to 15? And then we say, yep, 1 and 14. So you fill in the 2 sides with those numbers. Okay, so once you have found those numbers, we're going to go down to this next step, where we're going to take the middle term of our equation, this 15x, and you're going to split it into 1 plus 14. So that's going to be 1x plus 14x. So we carry down the variable that comes with it as well. So it would be 1x plus 14x. That gave us that 15x there. Now, once that middle term is split, you're going to factor by grouping. Okay, so we have our equation, 2x squared plus 1x plus 14x plus 7. We factor by grouping, so back to section 1. If we forget it, we split down the middle. We take a GCF out of this side. So what do 2x squared plus 1x have in common? X. So these are both divisible by x. So we say this is x. And then 2x squared divided by x just gives us a 2x. And then 1x divided by x, the x's will cancel. We'll have a 1 left there. And then what about 14 and 7? 14x and 7 are both divisible by 7. So we say plus 7. Then 14x divided by 7 will give us a 2x. 7 divided by 7 will give us 1. And then since we have 2 terms now, we can factor out the GCF of 2x plus 1 from both sides. And we say, okay, we factored out a 2x plus 1. That's our GCF, which means we're left with, on this side, just an x. And then over here, we're left with a plus 7. So our factors, 2x plus 1 times x plus 7. And then if we want to check that, we're going to FOIL this to make sure it goes back to the original equation. So if I FOIL this, I got 2x times x would give us a 2x squared. My outsides, 2x times 7 gives me 14x. My insides, 1 times x, gives me 1x. And then 1 times 7, 7. If I combine my 2 middle terms, I have 2x squared plus 15x plus 7. And just notice throughout that FOIL process, this is what we had before we, well, it was 1x and then 14x, but when we split it and factored it, so we're just going backwards when we're doing the FOILing. Okay, so let's take a look at another example using that method. So I have here 12x squared plus 14x plus 4. Okay, so the first thing I noticed with this, there is a number in front of x squared, but I also noticed that these are all divisible by 2. So if I can take a GCF out first, I'm going to do that in the very beginning. So I'm going to divide each of these by 2. Okay, so when I do that, I'm going to have a 2 on the outside, and then 12x squared divided by 2 will give me 6x squared. 14x divided by 2 will give me 7x, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I have this 2 on the outside. That's going to show up in my final answer. I'm going to factor inside of here now using my factor diamond. Okay, so I have a times c here, which would be 6 times 2, first term times last term, so that's going to be 12. And then my middle term is 7. And then let's see here. We want factors of 12 that add to 7. So I have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Which of these add to 7? 3 and 4. And we're dealing with positives, both of these, but also just while you're doing them, make note of if they're going to be negative. I think we have a couple examples where we'll have negatives, so we'll go through that. Okay, so we have 3 and 4. Those are the middle terms. So I'm going to take this middle term here, 7x, and I'm going to split that into 3x plus 4x. And if you put 4x plus 3x, that's fine, because either way, you're still going to factor. It'll still give you the same answer in the end. So we split the 3x plus 4x, then you're going to bring down the first term, 6x squared, and then you're going to bring down the last term, plus 2. The 2, I'm going to leave this right here. You can bring it down each time if you want, but I'm just going to, I'm going to bring it down at the very end. So for right now, I'm just going to put a box around it so I don't forget it. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to draw an arrow even. I'm going to put it down there at the very end. Okay. So we're going to split down the middle. And then we're going to take a GCF from each side. So 6x squared and 3x. What would be a GCF for that? 3x. Good. So that'll give us a 3x. And then let's see. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X squared over x. That's x to the 2 minus 1. So that's just x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. These x's cancel. What about 4x and 2? 2. Yeah, they're both divisible by 2. So I bring down a plus 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Carry down the x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, then I pulled the 2x plus 1 out. Remember the shortcut I showed you guys last week? You can write that just one time. And then you factored that out. You're left with a 3x plus 2. And then I carry down the 2 from the very beginning. Here's my final factorization. So 2, then 3x plus 2, 2x plus 1. And then let's go ahead and multiply that out so we can check it. So I'm just going to go, actually I'm going to go over here to the right. So 3x plus 2, 2x plus 1 with a 2 in front. All right, I'm going to start with FOILing on the inside. So I've got 3x times 2x, 6x squared. 3x times 1, 3x. 2 times 2x, 4x, 2 times 1, 2. 2 middle terms will give us 7x. And if I take all of that and I multiply by 2, I'm going to get 2 times 6, 12x squared. 2 times 7, 14x. 2 times 2, 4. So back to my original problem. Good to go. Okay, so that is your diamond method, or you can use an X even instead of a diamond, just the inside. So that is one method to do that. And that'll use factoring by grouping. Anybody have any questions on that method? Okay, so the next one we have is called the mistake method. So here's our problem with this one. We have 10x squared minus 19x plus 6. Okay, so you're still going to use the start of the diamond method. You just don't have to draw a diamond. You're going to multiply a times c. So 10 times 6 is going to give me 60. And then what you're doing is you're looking for factors of 60 that multiply to negative 19. Or, sorry, factors of 60 that add to negative 19. Okay, so you're still using the start of the diamond method, looking for those two numbers. So let's see, we've got 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, I think 4, find my calculator here, 4 and 15, oh, that combines to 19, right? And let's see, if they're going to combine to a negative 19, when they both need to be negative? So let's check that. Negative 4 times negative 15, positive 60, negative 4 plus negative 15, negative 19. So we find the two numbers, 4 and 15, they're both negative. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to set them up like this. So you're going to set your two parentheses up, like you're factoring a monic trinomial. So like this, you've got your parentheses with your x and your x. Then you say you're going to minus 4 and minus 15. Okay, then it's called the mistake method because mistake, I wasn't supposed to set it up that way. So your mistake is you're going to take the a value, 10, and you're going to put it underneath. Now it's already done there for you. Okay, but you would say, okay, well, I've got to divide by my a. So you divide both of these by 10, and then you're going to simplify. So 4 over 10, let's see, 4 over 10 would simplify to 2/5. If you still have a denominator, you're going to slide that denominator in front of the x. So that becomes 5x minus 2. And then 15 over 10 would be 3 over 2. Again, you're going to slide that denominator in front of the x. So that would become 2x minus 3. And there you go. We're factored. So it's kind of a shortcut with this one. I do always like to check when I'm using the mistake method. So 5x times 2x will give me a 10x squared. 5x times negative 3, negative 15x. Negative 2 times 2x, negative 4x. And then negative 2 times negative 3, positive 6. And then these will combine to negative 19x. So we're back at our original problem. Now it's not going to tell you to use any certain method, so it really doesn't matter which one you use. It's really what you're more comfortable with using. Let's do another example of the mistake method. So we have 8x squared minus 22x plus 5. Because of that 5, I can't divide by 2. It doesn't look like I have a GCF. All right, so we're going to go 8 times 5 is going to give us 40. And then I want factors of 40 that combine to negative 22. So what do you guys got for me? All right, what multiplies of 40? You have 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 3 doesn't go in, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. Do any of these combine some way to 22? 2 and 22. Or sorry, 2 and 20. And they're both going to be negative. Good. Okay, so we go x minus 2, x minus 20. And then mistake, put the 8 on the bottom. And then simplify. So x minus 2 over 8 would be 1/4. And then you're going to slide that 4 to the front here. So this would be 4x minus 1. And then 20 over 8, these are both divisible by 4. So it would be 5 over 2. So 2x minus 5. So 4x minus 1 times 2x minus 5. I'm going to go ahead and multiply that real quick. 4x times 2x, 8x squared. 4 times negative 5, negative 20x. Negative 1 times 2, negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 5, positive 5. This combines to negative 22, and we are back at our original problem. All right, so let's practice. You have a couple problems here. I'm going to add one more over here that looks like this. Okay, so practice these 3 problems, and then we'll go over them in a few minutes. How you guys doing? Ready to take a look? Okay, so I'm going to do diamond method for number 1, mistake method for the other 2. So we can go over both. Okay? All right, so for number 1, let's see, no GCF. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, sometimes I don't draw the whole diamond. I just do a very bad X like that. At the top, 3 times 3, 9. And then you have your middle term, 10. All right, so what multiplies a 9 adds a 10? 1 and 9. Good. And if you put 9 and 1, that's fine. I split the 10x into 1x plus 9x. All right, then we bring down the 3x squared. Get some room here. There we go. Okay, so I bring down the 3x squared and the plus 3. All right, then we will split down the middle. What can I take out of the left side? Just an x, yeah. No numbers, just an x. So 3x squared over x. Well, sorry. Okay, then we have our x. All right, and then 3x squared over x will leave us with just a 3x. We have the x squared minus 1. 2 minus 1 there. And then the x's will cancel over here, and we're left with just a 1. What about 9x and 3? What are those both divisible by? Good. So we put plus 3. And then 9 divided by 3 is 3. Carry down the x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I have 3x plus 1. Those match. I write it one time. And then I'm left with an x plus 3. So there is number 1. 3x plus 1, x plus 3. And I'll trust you guys to check that. All right, number 2. Before I start that, let's go ahead and look for a GCF. Now, those are all divisible by 2. What about 4? Because I know 12 and 32 are. No? Yeah, it is. 32 divided by 4 is 8. Yeah, so we can take a 4, right? Anything bigger? I don't think so. Yeah, okay. So we can take a 4 out of all of those. And what about the x's? They all have one, so let's go ahead and take a 4x out. Okay, so 12 divided by 4 will leave us with 3, and then x cubed over x squared. 32 divided by 4 is 8. X squared over x will just be x. And then 84 divided by 4 gave us 21, and these x's cancel. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do 3 times 21, and that'll give us 63. And then let's see here, we want factors of 63 that are going to add to 8. So we know it's not 63 and 1. 2 does not go in. 3 and 21, no, they're positives, it's all positives, so we have to add them together. 63 and 4, no. 5 doesn't work. 6, no. 7 plus 9 is 16, so that's not going to work. And then 8, no. And then we're back to 9. So really the only things that multiply to 63 are 1 and 63, 3 and 21, or 9 and 7. Do any of those add to 8? No. So we're done there. So that's it. So we did still factor it because we took a GCF out. We just couldn't go any further than that. So we stopped there. Okay, and then inside of here, when you can't factor when you can't factor a polynomial, what do we call that? You guys done that on your homework yet? When you can't factor something. It is called prime. Now this one isn't prime because we still factored out a GCF. But if we would have started with this problem here, then that would have been prime when you can't factor it. All right, let's take a look at number 3. So we'll go ahead and try mistake method with this one. So we have 4 times negative 15, negative 60. All right, multiplies to negative 60, adds to negative 17. What do we got? 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20. That should work, right? 3 minus 20, negative 17. 3 minus 20, negative 17. 3 times negative 20, negative 60. Okay. So I'm going to set up my factors. No, because I'm multiplying to a negative. So to multiply to a negative, you want positive times negative. So 1 negative, 1 positive. If this was positive and the middle term was negative, then they would both need to be negative. Okay, so I set up my factors, x plus 3, x minus 20, and then mistake, forgot my a. So I'm going to put this underneath both. And then this will not simplify, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the 4 in front of the x. So 4x plus 3. And then 20 over 4, that simplifies, right? That's just 5. And if there's nothing, that was just a whole number, nothing to move in front of the x. So 4x plus 3, x minus 5.